Hey there, everyone. Welcome back to another episode of No Man's Sky. As always, I'm Captain Beefy. This is the Game Vault, and we're going to talk about freighters, frigates, living frigates, and capital ships today. I'm going to show you how to get the best capital ship you can find and how to get it for free, and how to farm for frigates of different types and living frigates as well. So let's cue up the music, and we'll get right to it. Alright, so let's start off with the difference between a freighter and a capital ship. Essentially, they're the same thing. All capital ships count as a freighter, but not all freighters are capital ships. So check this out here. We are in a nice little system here. These freighters conveniently just landed, or came into the system. And here's what they look like, right? Kind of boxy, utilitarian. You see a lot of storage units on them, these cargo pods that you can shoot, piss everybody off, and get some free goodies for. There's a few different ones here. Oh, we're at them upside down, huh? Let's flip it over and make it better. There we go. There's another one, another one. So they often come in groups of 2, 4, 5. It really depends. The number will vary. And very often they've got these cargo pods around them. These cargo pods can also be shot up and stolen from. You can acquire stuff from there. And occasionally, one of these freighters is going to have that show up on it. And what happens with this is you're able to take this freighter over if you want to when you see it, right? This is not the optimal way to get a freighter. And these are not the optimal freighters to get. I much prefer capital ships, and I'll show you why here in just a second. But I'll show you the process if you were so inclined. You just happen to be cruising around and you saw a cool looking freighter or capital ship, it can happen, and you wanted to take it over. You just get on top of that shit, go find the captain, there he is, and talk to him, and you can offer to buy the freighter from him, and you'll get a look at the freighter, C-class. That's what it's got for cargo, that's what it's got for tech. If you've already got one, you can compare it, see how much it's going to cost and what the switch will be from yours to his. Now, obviously, we're not going to switch an S-Class for a C-Class. Just wanted to show you that the way to do it, because we will be revisiting that later on. So, I heard a nice ship land, didn't I? Okay. Now, what's a capital ship? So, there's a ton of different freighter styles in the game, and they vary in levels of ugliness to them. Some of them aren't that bad looking, but most of them are pretty ugly, kind of bland, kind of boxy, and eh. Then we've got two capital ships, and let's find the one. Where is mine? Oh yeah, there it is. So this is a capital ship, and this is the largest of this type. Okay, there's two types. There's this one, which is, I call it a sentinel ship. It's the one that you will end up fighting. If you piss off sentinels and you engage them long enough for them to get to a level 5 battle in space, you'll be taking one of these down. They vary in size, the ones you could take over, and you can tell if you've got a large one by counting the number of cargo pods on it. Now, these show up in sets of 3. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Largest one has 7 sets of free, so 21 cargo pods. Right along the side, as well as some more underneath it. And that's basically what it looks like. It's pretty monstrous, right? It's huge. And there's all my frigates around it. But we'll get to those. The other style of capital ship is what I call the Star Destroyer. And it looks like a Star Destroyer from Star Wars. It's got that wedge shape. Very ominous looking. And that one has pairs of pods on it, right? Instead of 3, it's got 2. And it's got a maximum of 6, so you'll see 12 on the side of the largest one of those. Now, that makes no difference for the storage on these things. I mean, it's all based on how much storage you install on the capital ship. So, You really don't have to worry about that. So, how do you get one of these? How do you get it in S-Class? And more importantly, how do you get it for free? First off, if you already have a capital ship on your playthrough, you're not going to get one for free. You only get one for free, and that's the very first one that you buy. Not the first one you look at, but the first one you buy. So if you're starting a new character up maybe, or if you're just starting the game and you haven't got a capital ship yet or a freighter of any sort, I recommend not getting the first one that you come across, because it never seems like that first one is an actual capital ship. It always seems like it's some kind of cheesy regular freighter. So what you do after you come across that first one is every 3 hours of gameplay, and this doesn't count with time that the game's turned off. You have to actually be in game, and every 5 warps that you do, you have the opportunity to warp into a freighter battle in the system. So I'm going to go ahead and find us a freighter battle, and I'm going to show you how that looks, what to do to end it quickly, and how to get a ship out of it. So, especially in S-Class. So, stay tuned. Alright, so here we go. We've got ourselves our space battle. This is a freighter battle. Now, you can engage the pirates, which have the pink trails behind them. Or you can do what I do and just go land on the lead freighter, which is usually a capital ship at this point. After the first one, at least. And as you can see, this one is similar to mine. It's the Sentinel-style ship. I was hoping we'd find a Star Destroyer type, but we didn't. And this is an A-class, an A3420, which is pretty good. Look at the price of it, 142 million units. That's crazy, right? That's crazy. So this is why, and that's only an A-class. This is why you want to hold off for an S-class. And you want to hold off on that initial freighter because it's free. It doesn't matter if it's A, B, C, whatever. S, it is free. And everybody can afford free. So if you don't have the S-Class when you get to it, you're going to go to the space station, which is always nearby. And you're going to land. Don't do anything else. Just hop out of your ship, scan the inside of the freighter. If it's not an S-Class, hop right back in your ship. Now that you're in here, you get out, you go to your options, and you reload the restore point. This is going to take you right back into the space station from the moment you jumped out of your ship. And what it's going to do is reset that freighter. Not the battle or anything like that. The freighter and its little posse are all going to be there, but it's going to reset it and give it a new set of statistics. Like what class it is, how big it is, all that kind of stuff. Not physical size from looking at it, but the cargo hold and the technology hold. So we'll go back out there, and it does move around a little bit. There it is. You'll see the fleet here. So if you don't see it where it was when you left it last time before you went onto the space station, just look around. It'll be nearby. It never really goes anywhere. And we'll go ahead and land. Now, chances are it's not an S-Class right now, and I'm not going to do this until it is an S-Class. I've done this 100 times in the past, and I've already been trying to do this for like 4 hours. So I'm tired. See, this time it's a C-Class, and it's 45 million units. So you do this enough. It usually takes, I don't know, depending on the system, it could take 20 minutes, it could take close to an hour, whatever. It could take a little bit of time before you find before it comes up as an S-Class, This one is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Not the biggest you can get. It's only got 5 out of the 7 sets of 3, as you can see. So, if you're looking for the super large one, this is not it. You'll have to continue your journey and wait another, 3 hours and 5 warp jumps. Or what you could do, and what I recommend doing before you start hunting these things, is set up a manual save before you do that 5th jump, right? do a manual save on a planet or whatever, on your own, on a space station, whatever. Do that manual save, and then make the jump. And as soon as you come out of the jump, if the ship is not the style you want, then reload that manual save and redo your jump to a different system. You'll thank me for that later on, because then you can decide, is this the class you wanted? Is it or not the class, but is it the size you wanted? And more importantly, is it the style you wanted? Is it the Star Destroyer, if that's what you're looking for? Or if you want the Sentinel one, but you want the really large one, if you want the smaller one, whatever you're looking for, you can do that until you find a system that has the style and the size you're looking for. And that, I recommend doing that. That, to me, just makes sense. So we're going to go to another system now. That's how you get an S-Class capital ship. And that's how you get it for free, But remember, if you already got one, you're paying money for it. So I hope you've got some money, because, boy, they get pricey, especially the S-Class, All right, well, let us find... There it is. We're going to go find a pirate system now. And we're going to talk about the frigates that you can get for your freighter. You can't get any frigates until you get your freighter. And there's two types of frigates. There are regular standard ones, and then there are living frigates. And they each have a process to get. And you can't get the living frigates until after you get a specific item, which you can only get after you use some regular frigates. So, yeah, it's a little complex. Now, you will get one free frigate when you get your initial freighter or capital ship. After that, you got to buy the rest. And it can get pricey, and just like anything else, they come in different classes, from C all the way up to S. So let's take a look at our fleet right now here. And I'll show you what we've got. You can get 30 in total, okay? And that 30 can be any mix of regular frigates and living ones. So there's that, which is cool. So here's your C-class ones. You see they have pretty crappy stats overall, but they do have a specialization: trade, industry, exploration. Here we got a support one, which is kind of a generic one. No specification on it. And this is a combat one in an A-class. Now, and there's industrial S-class. Organic frigates do not have a specialization like combat, trade, support, etc., etc. Instead, they have some random stats for them, and then they have these modifiers that you can manipulate and change around. And we'll talk about that when we get back to the living frigates. But for now, I'm going to show you how to find some basic regular old frigates. And again, it'll cost you a few bucks. But, you got to save up that money, man. Save up that money. Make some money. I like to go to pirate systems to farm frigates, because you tend to have a lot of freighter groups coming into these systems, warping in and hanging out. And there's usually a few of them, and there they are right now. I hear them coming in right around the space station. So perfect. We got a whole bunch coming in here. So these green things are recruitable frigates. You see it right there. There's 3 and 4. And then there you have a freighter that you can actually go ahead and investigate and potentially buy. But again, I don't recommend that. I like the capital ships. But if you like to look at that freighter and that's what you want, go for it, man, Especially if you don't have one already. So to recruit a frigate, you go up close to it, and you'll get that communication notification down at the bottom. You just open up your communicator, you talk to him, you inspect the frigate, and you decide whether or not to buy it. Now you'll see this is a support specialist, so it really doesn't have any outstanding numbers on here as far as like heavy and combat exploration or whatever. They're all either very bad or middle of the road, right? And you can see here, these are the bonuses it gets. Lazy crew is -2 to industry, -4 to industry. That shows why your industry is so low. If it wasn't for those 6 points missing, it would be a 9, just like the others are 8 and 9. A little bit negative on the expedition fuel cost, +1 to exploration, -15 to expedition fuel cost. So overall, it's pretty mediocre. It's a C class, and it's $2 million bucks. So we're gonna buy it just because, we're gonna buy it. You can be a little more choosy if you want. I really don't care at this point. I'm going to be replacing it with a Living Frigate eventually, but again, we'll talk about that in a minute. Let's see what this one is. I think this is combat. Yeah, that's a combat one. C-27 in combat. Very nice. Again, C class, but this one's $2.5 million. -6 to industry. Poor industry. +4 and +15 to combat right there, so that's why you have that nice big number. We'll go ahead and buy it. And anytime you come across a fleet of freighters and frigates and you have room in your fleet, you're going to see these pop up. Once you have it filled up, you're not going to have this option anymore. So once you get all 30 of them, this is going to stop happening. Let's get a little closer. You gonna talk to me? There we go. This one looks like support again, I think. No, this one's industry. My bad. So yeah, 17 in industry, 2 in combat. It's got a +15 to industry. And again, these things at C class, they really don't matter. As these things run missions, and we'll take a look at how that happens, their stats are going to go up. And they're going to get better and better. So recruiting, trying to hold out for S class is expensive, time consuming, and in the end it's really not worthwhile, because you'll just upgrade these guys anyway as you naturally send them on missions. And another C class industry. Okay, $1.5 million, we got it. Boom. So we just bought a few of those. Now that we've got those, we're going to want to send them on missions. So I'll show you how that's done. I'll show you how to configure what you send out on a mission and how to make sure that your guys are going to come back from those missions successfully and without any damage, hopefully. They can't get damaged. Alright, so here again on the bridge, we've got our buddy here, the navigator. We can talk to him, and he's going to give you a list of available expeditions. Now, this list will not show up if you don't have a specific room built, and we're going to look at that next as we see what happens at the end of an expedition. So let's take a look here and see what we got. We have an industrial expedition. It's 2 stars, takes 8.5 hours. That's the one we're going to target. So let's assign some ships to it. I know we just picked up 2... what was this again? Industry. Okay. So yeah, we got 2 C-class industries here. 3 of them actually, right? And boy, they're crappy in every other way. So let's send all 3 of these out on a mission. We're going to assign, assign, and assign. Now again, it's a 2-star mission. You want to get your fleet rating to be equal to or above the difficulty rating. In this case, it's double it. I'm fully confident these guys will come back without any issues. We're launching that expedition, and in 8 hours plus, they're going to come in, we'll debrief them and see what they got. But in the meantime, I had another mission sent out, and we're going to take a look and see what it's like when they come back. So this right here is a fleet command room. You're going to need one of these, or fleet command station. You're going to need one of these for every mission that you want to run simultaneously. We have 5 of these. 5 missions can be run simultaneously. That's why I've got 5 of these. This is the one we just sent out. You see the 3 exploration craft there. Or was it industry? Whatever. Alright, so we're going to debrief these guys. And as you can see, they're going to tell us what they brought back. Units, 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 semiconductors. 3 of them, and that's it. So, 3 semiconductors and 1.5 million units. So basically paid for one of the guys we just bought. So not too bad of a haul. Different types of missions will yield you different types of rewards. and you'll get a feel for what they do. The exploration ones tend to get you money. The combat ones will get you other stuff. The industry ones will bring you back. Let's go look at our freighter. Things like the geodesite and the uranium, that kind of stuff, you know. So it really depends on what type of mission you're running will get you different things. Now you can also bring back psychonic eggs and spawning sacks. These items you might be like, well, what the hell are these for? These are good for a living ship if you have it, and we'll do a video on that later on down the line, looking at the living ship. So if you do get these and you don't have a living ship, just go put them in storage somewhere. They will come in handy later. Sometimes you can get salvaged frigate modules, which you can use to buy stuff for your ship and making it better, you know, giving it more options for rooms and stuff like that. And one thing that you really hope that it brings back, though, is this right here, a dream area. So to get a living ship, you need a dream area, and you won't be able to get your first living frigate. You need a dream area, and you won't be able to get it until you get one of those. And the only way to get it is to send out these missions and to hope one of them brings it back for you, so you can build it and then go ahead and hunt down your first living frigate. Once it comes back and you can build it, you go out there, and I'll show you how we find a living frigate. It's not hard, but just like anything else, it's time consuming, and like everything else, I wouldn't hold out for an S-class. I would take whatever I get, because just like regular frigates, they can be upgraded and made to be better. So to find one of these, you're going to need something called an anomaly detector, and the only way to get one of those that I know of is to go to a meteor storm, or an asteroid field, I should say, and shoot up a bunch of asteroids. Eventually what's going to happen is you're going to end up with one of these anomaly detectors in your possession. And when you've got it, you begin to scan, you activate your pulse engine, and you go. Now, you're going to fly for a while. In the lower right-hand corner, you're going to see something's going to pop up. It's going to probably tell us a rare item's been discovered. If that's the case, we ignore it and we keep going. That's going to keep discovering items or objects every predetermined sets of time, 20, 30 seconds, whatever. Eventually, it's going to give us a cosmic megafauna. So I'm going to wait till that happens, and then I'm going to come back and we'll take a look at it. I'll tell you roughly how long it took, too. Oh my god, we finally found it after almost 40 minutes. I was ready to give up. 40 minutes and 3 anomaly detectors. So the first one, I went out about 20 minutes away, and once you go that far, it gets a little sketcy, where the system gets a little unstable and the game wants to crash. So I stopped, turned around, and headed back. And I passed to the point where I started at my ship. So I said, you know what, I'm going to do one more anomaly detector when I got back to the ship. So I went the other direction and finally got it. So here it is. Oh, man, I was close to switching systems. I was like, I know there's one in every system. But anyway, so all that for a C-class. 10 million. So you see how expensive these are. A little plus in trading, 15 in industry. So this one leans heavily on industry with a little bit in trade, you know. Nothing special, but we're buying it because screw it, we're buying it. Now, let me explain about heading back. Like, you see, we're only a minute or so out from the outlaw station, and our ship's right next to it. So, if you go too far in a system away from, like, the starting point, the space station and all that, it gets extremely funky in the system. And I've had the game crash a few times when I do that. So when I get to be about 20 minutes out, that's like, to me, that's like about the end of the line. Anything more than that, it gets a little scary, like it's just going to crash on me. So I try not to get that far out, you know. Once I get 20 minutes, I'll stop, turn around, burn another anomaly detector, and come back. It's very rare I have to go 20 minutes out, and this is a first, flying this long, to where I went 20 minutes out, 20 minutes back, and then another minute out to get a living frigate. It's utter insanity. So let's go ahead and get onto our capital ship here, and we're going to wrap things up here in a minute, but we're going to talk about the stats on these living ships and how you can influence those with food of all things. Yeah, well, I'm on my ship threat, so you can screw off. I'm really not in the mood. It's like after 1 in the morning. I'm tired. It's been a long day. Alright, so right here at our fleet management, we'll go in and we can look at our different living frigates. And let's find that new one that we just found. The organic one right here, C-Class, right? So, pretty crappy stats altogether, right? Plus 15 to industry, plus 4 to trading. So these things impact these stats. These stats will rise as the ship levels up. So when you get to B class, it'll be better. When you get to A class, it'll get even better. And S class will be the best. And each time you'll also get another little modifier over here. But you can influence these modifiers by feeding the vessel. And I got a couple different things to feed it right here. Nothing special. You don't have to make crazy special food for it. You can feed it raw meat. You can feed it, pretty much anything raw and basic. I have not noticed any correlation between what I feed it and how it impacts what's going on over here. So let's just start off with some pilgrim berries, and it only takes one at a time. So you see now it's less expedition fuel cost, 18. So now the stats are really bad overall, but this is a good support vessel to lower the fuel cost of a mission, right? That's what the pilgrim berry. We'll throw a meat stew in. Now all of a sudden combat gets a bump and industry gets a little bit of a bump. Steamed vegetables, exploration, and a little bit of fuel cost. Now, I'm going to warn you, these foods, I have found no rhyme or reason to a specific type of food and what it does to those stats. And if any of you have found one, let me know down in the comments, because I think it's just completely random from what I've seen. We've got industry bumped up again. And even though something like this, like the bread, right? It gave exploration and trading bonuses. If I was to feed bread to another ship, and let's go ahead and find one. Let's do this one here. Right, because it made exploration better. So let's feed this guy bread. It did exploration that time. Okay. It normally doesn't do the same thing. I think this one made it pretty basic, right? With like fuel saving. Yeah, combat, fuel cost, expedition duration. It's weird. I don't see any direct. Nothing seems to be the same. Combat this time from the pilgrim berry, 15, So it's really random. It's different for every ship. Pilgrim berry did combat for that organic. Let's look at those are both good. Let's look at this organic. We'll give it a pilgrim berry. Yeah, raised combat on that one. So, I don't know. Maybe there is, maybe there isn't. I haven't noticed anything definite. It just seems completely random. So, but that's how you feed them. You don't need to go get all elaborate and make special cakes and all the special stuff. You can feed them basic things like sugar, raw meat, leg meat, the kind of crap you get from killing animals, and it'll still impact those things. I haven't seen, and I've made some really spectacular meals in this game like that have taken 4 or 5 steps, and I've given it to things, and I've never seen more than like that plus 15 on one, stat from one of those things. So don't put too much thought and effort into what you're cooking. Just make sure you have like a couple variety of things so that you have a few different options on what you can do with the vessel. That way you can get it customized to the way you want it to be. Alright, well, I think that's pretty much going to wrap up this episode of No Man's Sky. If there's anything else you want to know about frigates and capital ships and freighters, let me know down in the comments. If I missed anything obvious, let me know. I got notes here and all that, but I've been working on this thing for hours. It's been a long day, and I may have missed something, but I don't think so. I think I covered everything I wanted to cover in this one. We'll look at the interior of the ships later on and some other stuff. But for the most part, this is all about acquiring them and how to get S-Class capital ships. And I think that's been covered pretty well. So if you found this useful at all, leave a like on it down below. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel and ring that bell for notifications. I'm Captain Beefy. Thank you so much for putting up with me today. I'll see you next time. Until then, peace.